Hi, I would like to welcome all of you guys back to my channel. I hope you guys all had a great weekend and I hope you guys are having a good week so far. But this is going to be my part 2 of my introduction video about myself. I would like to say my intent with this channel is to build it off of 100% transparency. So in order for me to do that, I have to be completely transparent with all of you about my life and my choices so I can hopefully change the trajectory of your own life. I would like it if you guys can learn a little bit of something while you're here. But with that being said, I think the first thing I need to address, potentially I may have upset some people or completely turned some of you off when I disclose the information that I decided to no longer want to be with child when I was 19 years old. I would like to say when you make decisions like that, those decisions are a permanent thing and they will affect the rest of your life. And then when you decide to do something like that at such a young age, you're more likely coming from a place of uncertainty, of unease, of cloudiness, and potentially a selfish place. But I made that decision the same way millions of other women have, not knowing that I was basically offering a sacrifice to Moloch. We have to call it what it is, and we need to ask for forgiveness for it. You know, I am not one to make excuses for any of my choices. And after many years of self-reflection, I think I would have made a different decision had I taken the time to work on my trauma before all of that transpired. Had I decided to work on my trauma, most of everything that I have experienced in my life would more than likely have never happened. But regardless of the reason why, you have to admit what you did, and we need to try to build a relationship with Yahweh and Yahshua and work on ourselves every day. So that kind of leads me into the next thing I would like to discuss. How the devil attacks you when you're young. He attacks you when you're young so he can completely railroad and infiltrate your life so he can set you up to make decisions that will drive you farther away from Yahshua and Yahweh and your destiny. He wants to create rifts in your life and stumbling blocks per se to cause you to sin and drive you further into sin. And he does this when you're young because you're not mature and you don't have the capabilities to make better decisions. But because I chose to run from my trauma, I opened door to many, many other detrimental, traumatic things. It led me, in my attempt at escaping my trauma, it led me further into more. Like I mentioned in my first video, I grew up in a narcissistic family dynamic. You know, back then, narcissist and all these toxic families wasn't thrown around the way it is now. So a lot of people experiencing similar things to my situation had no idea what was going on. But in my pursuit to escape and run from my whole experience, the narcissist used everything I ever did against me. He, I used to party, do what the normal 21, 22, 23, 24-year-old does on the weekends, have fun, party, go to the club, go drink or whatever. I never did anything too hard. And when I say too hard, like the heavier substances that people completely themselves over, anything like that, I would consider what I did pretty normal behavior for a young adult. But in the midst of that, I found myself in the midst of, partying and having fun and trying to run from my trauma. I found myself in another abusive relationship. And that relationship completely spiraled most of my life out of control. And that relationship, on top of the R word situations I had two of those as well. It all kind of compounded, and my father and I made the decision that he would take temporary custody of my daughter while I got my life together. So something that was supposed to be a temporary custody arrangement turned into, he wanted to make it a permanent thing, and he used absolutely everything I've ever done and said against me. The drinking, it's pretty hypocritical when he himself is an alcoholic, but I'm the problem, right? I'm the one that has the alcohol problem. I'm the one that can't quit drinking. I'm the one, that created all of these issues in this family dynamic. And, everything is my fault, right? I've heard it all before. But, I tried to get custody of her back. I filed those papers 3 times. Everybody knows that's in that situation. This stuff costs a lot of money, right? I tried, but he, like I said, used everything I've ever done or said against me. And I knew that his grounds for what he was doing was wrong. He ended up getting a cancer diagnosis. I think it was like 2017, 2018. And mind you, I had filed those papers twice already by then. But he, since he got that diagnosis, he wanted to give me her back. He's been saying for years that I'm the problem and, I'm unhealthy. He turned my daughter's family against me. He turned everybody that would listen against me. He made me look like I was a very unstable person. He said he didn't trust my judgment with relationships, which I could kind of understand that. But, when you see somebody single for 7 years after a tumultuous relationship, most people would acknowledge that that person's trying to better themselves. But, he did all that and got that cancer diagnosis and wanted to just give her back to me. And I scoffed. I literally remember that. I scoffed. Because I knew if he were to beat this cancer, which he did, that he'd want her all the way back under his supervision. And that's exactly what happened. He felt invincible, to be honest with you. But I knew right then and there, when you're dangling a child, a person, a human being over somebody's head like that, because you're projecting your own shortcomings onto somebody else, I knew it was a very alarm bells started kind of going off for me then. I completely distanced myself. I have not talked to my father in 2 years. It took me 38 years to walk away from that situation. I knew in 2017 that he was the problem. And he had already, it's a classic textbook case of narcissism. The flying monkeys turning everybody against you. They gang up on you. They throw everything you've ever done. What parent would throw every mistake you've ever done into your face? A toxic one will. When people sign up to be parents, they know their kids are going to make mistakes. They know they're not going to be perfect. Shit, we're human. None of us are perfect. But a narcissist will throw everything you've ever done into your face. This all, hindsight's always 2020, right? But I awakened when I realized that he was a problem, and I told him he was a problem, and then that created even more problems because I saw through his shit. If anybody knows narcissistic abuse, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It is best in situations like that to not say anything to the narcissist. What you need to do, because it goes beyond just this person. I really and truthfully, I think narcissists allow Satan himself into their vessel. Because, a godly person, a person with compassion and empathy and love and care would not do not even 10% of what those people are capable of doing. A narcissist seeks to kill and destroy, and that's exactly what they do. Since I think that they allowed the devil to enter into their vessel, it becomes more of a spiritual thing at that point. And a lot of people try to fight that battle uphill and wonder why nothing ever works in their favor. And it's because it's going beyond your scope of understanding. I think if you find yourself in a situation where you're being alienated from your kids, where your ex is a narc, I hope that you will research and gain the tools to have a better understanding about the spiritual aspects to what's going on. And I would advise you just to leave. Everything that's been taken from you, God will return back to you. And that's exactly what happened with my daughter. I got her back when she was 18, 9 months ago. They just kicked her out. She turned 18 and they just kicked her out, and she had nowhere to go, but it was returned to me, and just reflecting on that a little bit. I already knew the spiritual aspects to my situation. I already know he was a narcissist. I already know he turned all these people against me. He did me a favor by showing me who was against me, if anything. And I respect that, But all the things that they've ever said, you sit there and I'm looking at my daughter like, wow, she has no understanding of the real world. Like, she doesn't understand cost of living. They didn't make her finish high school. Here she is. She's going to be 20 years old this year. Doesn't have a GED. Doesn't have a high school diploma. And that's another thing too, since they turn everything around and against you or whatever, my dad manipulated the situations with the school to where the school was basically saying, oh, well, she's almost 18 when she was 14, 15 years old to make her own decisions. She doesn't need to go to school. This all falls onto her. But that's what they do. She's toxic. But she's a young adult, doesn't know how to cook, doesn't know how to clean, doesn't know how to pay for bills. I'm surprised she does her laundry. I am not throwing her under the bus by any means with this. I'm just telling you, from a narcissistic, abusive situation, was that really in the best interest of the child? Because you sit there and make it seem like I'm just a horrible person, but here you are producing a person that has no common sense of self, no common sense of the real world. Wow. And that's a whole other story. But the narcissistic family dynamic, the alienation everybody goes through, the gaslighting, the narcissists are soulless people. They allow the devil in. I mean, you are fighting not with the person, but with the demons inside of them. The projection, the manipulation. I mean, you really have to ask yourself, is that really what a godly person would do? No, they wouldn't. And I can bet you 9 times out of 10, the person that's going through the narcissistic abuse is an empath. They have to feed off of your energy because they don't produce any good energy. It's all negative. They are draining your energy. And this can get really super deep where some of them are destiny swapping with you. I just wanted to touch on this. This is my part 2 of my introduction video. I will get a little more into depth with some other things, but just I'll let you guys know I have been through quite a bit, and I hope that y'all can take something positive away from my experiences in my life and help your situation. If you are in an abusive situation, just get yourself together and leave and save your sanity, restore yourself, work on yourself, build yourself back up. Because narcissist takes way more than just physical. They take mental, emotional, spiritual stuff right along with them when they do what they do. All you can do is just pray for somebody at that point. But just work on yourself. Pick your own pieces back up. You got this. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I will try to post another video here pretty soon. Except my voice is a little questionable still, but I will be talking to you guys again soon. Thanks.